and post-pandemic. You see, I can see some. So one of the first problems that I had was that when I was trying to come and prepare, like I had a lot of coats and a lot of ties, but I really had to find my pants, you know, because usually you don't need them for the Zoom part. So, you know, I'm really happy to see that everybody is wearing their pants. So that's one good thing that we have. I also have to say that the first part is going to be broadcasted on LinkedIn and other channels. So everybody else is going to hopefully try to have that. We're still trying to be hybrid for those people that they still didn't have their first, you know, in-person event. I would like to welcome you to the 14th edition of Wolf Summit. You know, as a person that was from the first edition, is a lot, you know, it's like saying 14th. But this is, let's just say, very special. So this is going to be the opening for the investors. And hopefully we also have everything for you guys here ready. I'm just having some notes here for myself, and I really like it because we're going to talk a little bit about the public funding, CVCs, the CE investors, and then after that we go outside of the CE region. We're looking for speakers, and I was just mentioning to our speaker that I'm basically just here just to introduce him and then go home because, you know, like his title is so long that I'm trying to just see what you have to do. So Nitan, he is a head of the unit at the European Investment Fund, head of the unit that basically they do investment in the funds. I'm just learning that part from him by talking to you. And he's connecting the EU to Asia and MENA region through the EIB group. He is a proven strategic thinker, hands-on in leader, change agent, having created significant stakeholder value as an engineer, business manager, corporate finance executive, and investor. He's specialized in private equity, venture capital, M&A, management consulting, strategic sourcing, program management, finance consulting, business development, investment banking, aerospace, and defense. I shortened it just to make sure that people would just remember all of it. So I just wanted to say that we're just going to have a very interesting first part. I'm just going to introduce you to come here. Please just a round of applause. You can either stay here. I think that would be very easy for you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome. I think the bio is a bit extended. I don't have so many qualifications, but it's a pleasure to be here. It's indeed one of the few times where we're starting again to be in person at events. And I was very keen to participate to this summit as we at the EIB, the European Investment Bank, we very much support this initiative and this type of conferences. I think I'm here today to discuss about the VC or the venture capital ecosystem, try to give you some hints about where it's all going, a market feeling about whether this time of the year and is becoming a good time to get back into business and to invest, and try to kind of honor the fact that we're back to normal after what we can call was a global crisis, a pandemic that has hit us all in different way. So I would say, you know, to start with that, in exceptional times, we need to all have exceptional actions, and I think this is a little bit the start of my kind of notes to say that we'll have to kind of take the opportunity to make something out of the current situation, which is a good one. My name is Nitan Pathak. I'm a French national, Indian origin, based in Luxembourg, studied in the UK and Germany and France, and at the European Investment Fund, I'm responsible for connecting Europe to institutional clients globally. And through that, we realized that Europe is a very good place to be at the moment, with a lot of value in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. So what we can do to start with is we can have a little video that will explain what EIF is doing. And then I will go through some slides that will not take too long and will give you some insight into the venture market.
From the start, of course there'll be downs, long days, sleepless nights, all work and no play. You'll wonder why you're doing this. You'll make mistakes. We all do. But failure helps us grow. And remember, there'll be ups too, loads of them. Not just the big wins, but the little victories. The small, everyday things that will remind you why it's all worthwhile. The first day as your own boss, the first sale, the first happy customer. There'll be so many of these little moments, you may just let them pass you by. But at the EIF, we believe they're worth celebrating. So here's to the dreamers and the doers, those who keep going no matter what, and to the little moments that make the biggest difference day to day. We believe in small businesses. We believe in you.
Well, thank you very much for your attention. I mean, as we can see from this video, entrepreneurs are the backbone of the European economy and a key focal point for the EU and its policy. I think this is how we define our role. We are trying to make it easier for SME to access finance. So what the EIF is doing in his role is developing different financial instruments that help SMEs, you know, to get the appropriate financing for the job and of entrepreneurship and to be able to kind of grow their businesses. So what we are trying to do is to kind of support what we call, you know, the backbone of the European economy. If you think about it, in a couple of numbers, we realize that 99.8% of enterprises in Europe are SMEs. They represent some 24.5 million SMEs in Europe, and it's 95 million employees. So I think it's, in terms of added value, is more than 4 trillion in terms of euro of added value to the EU market. And we have to actually honor this unique opportunity to be actually positioned that way to help this ecosystem to grow. What we are trying to do is to kind of grow the ecosystem by investing in financial intermediaries that are making it possible for these young companies and startups to grow and be successful. With that respect, you know, here on this slide you have a couple of examples in different different sector of companies that we have financed through debt or equity instruments. These companies are scattered around Europe and are active in different sectors such as fintech, software, telecom, or e-commerce and marketplace. As you can see, there's a different kind of color. And what we call, you know, in pinks are the companies that we have already exited from our underlying portfolio of funds, and the other one are the ones that are still alive and are developing very well. A lot of what we call unicorn, so $1 billion plus US dollar value of company, and a lot of unicorn to become. So they are kind of in the rising kind of part of the value creation of a company. So we have a unique approach that is important for you to understand, and the way of for you to come to us and us being able to help you. So we are not a bank, so we do not invest into companies, or we do not create portfolio of loan for company directly at EIF. What we do is we create innovative financial instruments in the debt and equity space to allow intermediaries to take more risk. So what happens is what we try to do is to crowd in more money from private investor and public investor that will then, you know, give you know, an equity investment or debt kind of you know, participation to a small and medium enterprise that is seeking financial support. So the idea is to multiply resources. So our solution is kind of designed so that we are not the only one putting money at work. So we do, we are all known as a cornerstone investor. We put money at work, you know, as the first investor. And then, you know, this attracts, you know, other private or public investor to join and take more risk to finance the SME. It's an important kind of cultural aspect of the way we do business, because we are all about sharing risk. So it's a situation where when we gain, everybody gain, but when we lose, everybody lose as well. And that creates a kind of alignment of interest that is very, very important, in particular when we talk with SME. If we look at the impact, you know, so I think we talk a lot about impact these days. We're trying to do something good. I mean, in particular, when we see what has happened, you know, in the past years in the frame of the pandemic, we realize that, you know, with everything we do, there needs to be another dimension that we add, which is to do something good with the money that we put at work. And it can be as wide as, you know, making sure that our investment is responsible in terms of sustainability, but also in terms of gender equality or inclusion, make, you know, places where we work, you know, safe, and that we try to integrate all part of the society that we are into a positive kind of environment. And I think this impact, you know, driven culture is a culture that we have actually adopted. And we're not just saying it, but we're measuring it. So all the data that is related to impact is measured at EIF on a very regular basis. And we're trying to kind of analyze the metrics, you know, and the criteria that we're collecting from all the investment, and try to understand what is the impact, the positive impact, you know, and how does it translate to the well-being of the society. I think in terms of the impact, what we needed to do is, in the frame of this, you know, horrible crisis, we needed to react and act accordingly. What we had done in terms of our ability to provide a response to the COVID-19 crisis is we have not actually been extremely innovative. We have just tried to do more of what we are good at doing. So which means that we have put even more money at work. We have created slightly flexible terms in terms of the loans, you know, to make sure that we give more time for people to repay the intermediaries that, you know, were acting as a bank for the SMEs. And we would try to actually work as a team with the mandators, so the people who are giving us the money, who are entrusting us with money, the European Union, the National Promotional Bank. We have worked all together to make sure that we can do what we are good at doing, you know, a little bit in a bigger scale. And the reason is because all SMEs and entrepreneurs are facing, you know, one major challenge, which is with respect to mitigating liquidity and addressing working capital, you know, workflow challenges. And I think that what we are seeing in terms of how the market has developed is quite unique in Europe. It's a European private equity and venture capital market and ecosystem that has survived to COVID-19 beyond what we thought would happen. And it has actually revealed to be more resilient than what we anticipated. So the resilience in terms of, you know, the number of companies that have actually defaulted has been less important than what we expected. And also at our level, when we look at the fund we have committed into, we realize that the net asset value, for example, have not decreased, you know, as dramatically as we thought it would, because there was still some technology value. The structure of the firms that have been financed by fund managers have been such that they have been resistant to this adverse moment. And I think if you compare different geography with the same ecosystem, we realize that the European technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation ecosystem is more resilient than other places in this world. And I think that through an active market survey that we have just completed last week, we have come with a couple of points that we'd like to highlight that gives us a feeling about what is the situation currently with respect to the state of the business in the venture capital ecosystem. The state of the business is seen or perceived and communicated as good as the back to pre-crisis level. I think venture capital managers, perception is that things are back to normal. Now we can do business. Their appetite for investing into tech companies is there, and they are not actually looking at a deal with some kind of feeling that things are going to go bad again. But on the contrary, they feel like it's back to a pre-crisis level that was pretty positive. If we look, so I've selected a couple of key points, and there's a whole study online that you can download. But I think for this summit, I think what was important is to at least give a tone to kind of motivate, I think, the entrepreneur and the innovator and not give them any excuse not to do business. So if I go to the next slide and we look at what we are looking at in terms of the fundraising environment, so how easy it is to get money from investors, whether you're a fund manager or whether you are a startup, in fundraising mode. And we see that it's the perception and the feeling is that it's an all-time high. What does it mean is that people feel that if they come up with a new fund idea, they will be able quite easily to convince a limited partner like ourselves to commit into the fund. I think it goes beyond that, where there's a sentiment from the entrepreneur who is having a new startup that has a firm belief that he will be able to raise money for his startup. And it sounds a little bit trivial in this sense, but we have looked into data in the past, and this feeling or sentiment was not as strong as it is currently. It is, of course, due to some overcapacity in terms of liquidity in the market globally. There's a reallocation of assets going from, let's say, public equity to physical assets, whether it's real estate or getting stake into private companies. There's a lot of factors, but the fact is that the fundraising environment is very positive and it's at all-time high, and therefore there is liquidity, there is money, investors want to invest that money, and therefore it's a good time to start a business or set up a fund and come and see the relevant investor. The other point that is quite important to look at is, are you the only one to invest? So what there is a kind of metrics that we look at is, who are the co-investor? And, as I said, in everything we do, want to share the risk. So what we want to see is not us only putting money, but also, co-investor, whether it's at portfolio company level, so a co-investor into a company, or as a co-LP, so at our level as a limited partner into a fund. We are seeing that, it's getting easy to find co-investors, and that people are, keen to kind of invest, with you into a fund or into a company. And it seems like the trend is that will go on like that. So people want to join forces and invest into funds and into companies. And I think this is an extremely good sign, as we are not the only one, or you are not the only one thinking that it's a good company to invest into, but there are people around you that are doing the same and are, concurring with you. Finally, I think what we can touch upon is the competition among investors for potential investee companies. So what it means is, like, if you have a good business opportunity coming to you, how competitive it is to get the deal. This is also a very healthy situation. Having competition is healthy. it's a good news. It's a good news because it demonstrates that in Europe, the underlying technology, the business model, the innovation that is created by the entrepreneur is of value to the investor. So people who are used to analyze business models or companies are currently looking at some deals and they really want to get into it. And I think this is, of course, making things a little bit more expensive. So the prices to get into companies are increasing. However, I think, it's a fun place, to be with respect to trying to get a deal done, having club deals, co-investing along, friends and investors. And I think at the end, for the entrepreneur is an extremely positive momentum. So we need to, of course, look at it from a top-down perspective. But at the end, the entrepreneur who has a great idea, who wants to see this idea alive, is in a good environment because of this kind of competitive environment he is in, and he doesn't have to maybe ask too hard for the money, but he can actually play the competing kind of environment in his favor. So a couple of closing remarks, so I don't take too much time, with respect to the start of the Wolf Summit 2021. So I think, one thing that I would like to again stress, as I said in the beginning, is I think exceptional situation requires exceptional actions. And I think we're all here as a member of an ecosystem that needs to kind of take more risk and, take, the opportunity to go beyond what we're doing before. It is obviously, given the market condition, a sweet spot and an opportunity, which I think we should kind of take advantage of and put it to the benefit to the entrepreneur. We are in a good ecosystem, and I think whether you are an investor, an entrepreneur, a customer, I think you will benefit from the market dynamic that we see currently. The ecosystem, as we describe it, is a systemic one. So what I mean by systemic is that it englobes us all of us. So I think before we were wondering what the ecosystem in the venture capital system would be. There is no ecosystem anymore. I think we're all in it, So it can be, from people who are, in school being educated to people, the older generation who is being retired, to when you take your car, to when you make a call. I mean, the ecosystem and the application of the venture capital ecosystem is everywhere. And I think we can just, embrace it and be part of it. Yeah, I think one of the point that justifies our presence here as the European Investment Bank Group is that we very much support this kind of forum. So the Wolf Summit 2021 is a forum that the EIB Group supports strongly. Why? Is because it creates a positive environment and bring diversity of talent in the same place. I mean, as you can see, a lot of people are gathering here despite, the challenges to travel. And the breed and the type of people that are coming, it's quite impressive. And from what I saw in terms of stats, I think the number of meetings that have been booked, for the coming days is just, amazing. So I think we have to take the time to learn during this summit, to recalibrate, to revisit some of our concepts, to share experiences, to sell a vision, whether it's from an investment perspective or innovative perspective, and to kind of try to also make long-time friends while we can meet in person, and for all the people who are following us on social media and over the internet. And therefore, my final word is I wish you all enjoyable Wolf Summit 2021, and thank you very much for giving everybody the opportunity to participate. Thank you.